Today I want to talk a little bit about being a digital nomad, an audio professional, and what DAC I ended up picking up to take around the world with me. Today we're going to talk about the IFI Diablo. So, last month I went to Iceland, and a few of you guys might know that part of my gig is I travel around the world and I master music in all different countries. So some of the countries I've been to in the last few years, I've done residencies in South Korea, in Thailand, in Taipei, Iceland, Japan. So I've been all over, and I've had challenges trying to work in other countries. So I've recently gotten to the point where I've been really happy with my headphone setup, and we did a review on some iDSD last week, and I've been super happy with their previous and their current stuff, but I really didn't find a portable DAC that was kind of ticking all the boxes for me. So I tried this IFI portable DAC. It's called the Diablo. My case scenario is kind of difficult because for me, because I use headphones like the iDSD LC4s and the LCD5s, the power requirements on such high impedance headphones are not going to be met by a normal DAC. As a matter of fact, I know a bunch of you guys probably know that I'm a big fan of cord electronics DACs, and the cord stuff is fantastic, and I use it all the time, and love it when I'm home, but it's a bit beefy to carry a cord Dave around, or even a cord TT. And they do have the cord Yugo, but I wanted to try something new, and I picked one of these puppies up. They're not cheap. They're about $1,000, and the really outstanding thing about these guys is they're powerful. It's clean, it's powerful. Just to get an idea, there's 3 modes on here, and the mode switches will go from, let's see, we've got Echo, which is kind of for IEMs. We've got a normal switch, which is kind of for standard set of cans. And then you have turbo mode. And turbo mode is kind of specifically for like high impedance headphones, like my iDSD. So this puppy actually, in the lower voltages, puts out about 2 watts for like IEMs, and about 5 watts in the regular mode, and about 12 watts peaking for the high power turbo. So it's pretty impressive for a little guy. And this is also a battery powered DAC. It's got a 4800 milliamp battery in there, and probably gives you a good 4 or 5 hours of runtime on there. But most of the time I have this hooked up via USB into my computer, and that keeps a steady charge. There's 2 cables actually. There's a USB interface cable and a USB charge cable, and those 2 need to be connected to your PC or laptop always. And then on the front you have a 1/4 inch input, and then surprisingly you have a balanced input, which is really rare for a portable DAC. It's a 4.4 millimeter input, and I was kind of surprised to find this, but happy to know about that. And you also have a balanced output on here. And one of the tricky, cool things about this DAC is it comes with this cool cable, which is 4.4 millimeter to XLR. And for you guys that just don't want to use this for studio stuff, for portable stuff, you could also use it for studio. And this would make actually a great studio house DAC, and really is set up to do both. So I consider this kind of on the borderline between a professional DAC, you know, something like you guys might see from RME or Dangerous or one of those companies, Prism, and somewhere between a portable thing like a Cord Mojo. But this thing has the power which something like a Cord Mojo doesn't. So I took this to Iceland for a month and I gave it a huge workout, and I did a whole bunch of masters on it, and it sounded bloody fantastic. Really impressed with it. The formats on this thing, let me see if I've got my formats here. So this will do regular PCM audio from 44 all the way up to 768, which is really extraordinary. The Diablo will also do DSD from up to 512 and DXD up to 768. It's also got that MQA decoder in here. A few of you might know I'm not a big fan of MQA. It's kind of popular on some streaming formats now, but I don't think it's really that great, and I much prefer uncompressed audio. So anyway, the long and the short of this thing is that this thing is great if you have anything that demands power. If you're a bass head, if you have high impedance headphones, and you know, even if you don't have high impedance headphones, it's still super clean. They've got Burr Brown, it's a proprietary version of it, or a customized version of it. And, you know, I'd say this is really great, except for maybe people that have super efficient IEMs. It might be a little too for them, but there is a good feature in here. When you actually switch the power levels, there's a ramp up. It kind of mutes everything and then ramps up the volume again. So you probably won't blow your ears out. I haven't blown my ears out yet on it, which I've done on most of my stuff. I like pretty much everything on here. If you're a fan of iDSD, there's no X-Bass or 3D on this, and some people like that kind of consumer touch, but I think this is geared more for pros. So, you know, it's not cheap. It's $1,000. For me, it's worth it. It could be your main DAC if you wanted to. It could be your digital nomad DAC if you want it to. It's served me well in both places. Even when I compare it to some of my, you know, killer stuff like my Cord Dave, it holds up. It's not quite as nice, but it holds up pretty well. So to summarize, I'll say, if you're looking for something and you want it to sound great on the road, keep in mind the iDSD, can we get this in focus? iDSD Diablo. See you guys later.